Hello and welcome to Beyond the Wind, the podcast about the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss, where we reread the series chapter by chapter, discuss some theories, and just spend some time in the beautiful world of Tamrind. My name is Marcy, and I am joined by Leo. How are you today, Leo?
Hey Marcy, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. So, yeah, I was quite glad how our first episode turned out,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad to be back and talk about chapter 3 to 7 today with you.
Exactly. We will start where we left, and we'll go up until the moment where Kvothe starts to tell its story to the chronicler.
hmm
But in the first time, you
Um,
wanted to go through a little bit of a recap of the last episode, right?
exactly. We got some comments on our first episode, and I think it would be nice to mention them. First, we discussed about a span and whether it
Mm-hmm.
was a unit of 11 days or 14 days. And yeah, it turns out that what I had in mind, the 2 week unit that is called a fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
And its span was, I thought that I knew it because it's actually in the real world, it's a unit for length,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the length from your thumb to
Mm-hmm.
the to the tip of your little finger.
Yeah, the
And
handstand. Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one YouTube user called oofmydude8173 made a comment and told us that in this world, actually, it is a unit for 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that we got cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is that we discussed about the iron ring the chronicler had around his necklace and whether or not it was a religious symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And the iron wheel is indeed a symbol of the Talon Church. And we saw that in near the end of the book one in Traben, where Kvothe kills the Dracos, and there is this giant iron wheel on the church, hanging on the church.
Mm-hmm.
And we also hear about it in a story by Trappist about Menda, where Telu, I think he nailed or knocked down the demon. I don't remember the name. Down to this iron wheel.
Uh-huh.
But we will probably come back to that when we come around to these chapters. So yeah, this iron ring might be a religious symbol, but if the chronicler is really religious or not, we're not too sure about that. Maybe he just has it because later we see that he knows the name of iron,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he uses this just as a tool. But maybe we'll find out more about that.
Mm-hmm. There's also
Um,
one thing I would like to talk about too quickly before
mhm,
we go on. You talk a lot about the map of the world of Temerant last
mhm,
week, and I didn't really look at the map before then, but now I
mhm.
did, and I meant to
What are
ask
your
you,
thoughts?
do you think it looks a bit like Europe?
Yes,
Okay, okay,
definitely.
okay, we agree.
Yeah, the first time that I looked at the map, I thought that kind of looks like Europe.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
also with Italy, like this little boot,
Mm-hmm.
boot shaped,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, like I think where Europe and Russia are, I think they are by this I think the Ural, like the
Mm-hmm.
mountains is
Yeah.
called,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
The Stonewall
And
Mountains, yeah.
the Stonewall Mountains, yeah, really
Mm-hmm.
resemble that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought so too.
Mm-hmm. And can you now catch me up? Where are we at this point in the story?
I think we are in Winters, which is on
Hmm.
the east of the map.
Oh, so
But
we're
after
in
reading,
Turkey.
yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But after reading this chapter today, I'm not too sure anymore. Maybe the listeners will can clear us there, because in this chapter, I think there are both pays with a talent,
Hmm.
and also there's some jobs, I think, and
Hmm.
I think that's money from the Commonwealth, so where the university is, and it's
Hmm.
farther on the west side.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think we can look it up maybe afterwards, and or the listeners will tell us. Maybe someone knows more about it.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think we're in Winters, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. And I had a last question about the map. How do you
Hmm?
believe it's scaled? Do you think it's as big as Europe? Do the travel time make sense to you if it was as big as Europe?
Oh, that's a good question. Because Kvothe travels from the university to Winters to the mayor,
Hmm.
and I'm not too sure how long it was. I think his journey was all in all about a year,
Hmm.
and with staying time, um, yeah, I'm not too sure. I
Hmm.
think
Maybe
I think
one.
it could make sense. Maybe a little bit shorter.
Mhm. Maybe one other point of comparison is between the university and Imre is
Mhm.
not a big travel time, right? It does it like.
Yeah, it's always said that it's across the river.
Hmm. But here they look pretty, not pretty far away, but for neighbor cities they look pretty far away on the map. So
Mhm.
maybe it's not as big as we think this is. That's why I thought
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm. Maybe we'll
Okay.
see.
Do you have anything else about the last episode?
No, but I believe you wanted to talk about the watch list.
Yeah, just a quick recap, our watch list. Those are just some things that we will try to look out for. And last time we put on our watch list the eye color of Quoth because that seems to be changing. Then Crazy Martin. We questioned if Crazy Martin is the Martin we get to know in Wise Man's Fear. And also because it's such a big mysterious what is in the three-lock chest, it is said that it smelled like citrus,
Hmm.
and it might be just the wood that smells like this, but maybe it's just about what's inside as well. And yeah, we wanted to look out if there are any other citrus-like smells.
Hmm. Right. So
Okay,
shall we go to
should we
chapter 3?
start?
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay, you just heard the whoosh of the wind, and we can go into the chapter 3.
Okay, maybe a quick summary about the chapter.
Hmm.
And this chapter quote hangs up his sword folly,
Hmm.
and also a crowd of travelers came to the Waystone Inn, replacing the silence for the evening. And Quoth got recognized by his singing, but managed
Hmm.
to hide himself after all.
Hmm.
And in the end, Quoth goes around town and gets the smith's apron and gloves.
Hmm.
Okay, do you have any immediate thoughts?
I have actually.
Mhm.
Pretty much at the beginning of the chapter, there is the dialogue between Court and Graham when he gets the sword.
Mhm.
I I was interested in the part where um, Court seems a bit socially awkward at some point.
Mhm.
um, there's the point where he says, "Oh, the mounting board. I'm sorry, Graham. It's been so long, I'd almost forgotten."
Mhm.
And Graham is a bit disappointed about this because it was a lot of work and maybe it was real quick with all the work it was, and it seems a bit a bit snobbish, maybe. And
Yeah, and
maybe.
also
Hmm.
this wood is, as far as we know, it's extremely expensive.
Hmm.
And I think it's said that you can pay its weight in gold.
Hmm.
So Graham probably think that the most expensive thing that is around in this little town,
Hmm.
and Code just forgot about it.
Hmm. I think it's maybe interesting to have this perspective on Quote, that he maybe sometimes lacks a bit of social skills, and I think
Yeah.
it happens quite a few times in the whole book, and it's it's nice to see it for the first time so early.
Mhm.
But the next thing that I think is worth discussing is the name of the sword, right? It's a it's an odd name for a sword, just like Graham says. The
Folly.
sword's name is Folly. Um, I
Mhm.
know from the French, it's if you say it Folly, it's something like madness. And
Mhm.
I think you had something, you knew something about this name too, right?
Um, yes, because Folly is something of a quite unusual name for a sword, I think, because in its definition, it's um, like a mistake or a it's a stupid thing to do. I don't know how else
Mm-hmm.
to put it in,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems not like this sword is a good thing
Mm-hmm.
because it has obviously a quite bad name. And there are some theories because Kvothe gets a sword from the Adem,
Mm-hmm.
and the sword there he calls, I think, Caesura.
Uh-huh.
So that name already had a name,
Yeah.
and I think also in later chapters it's mentioned by the chronicler that the sword he describes there doesn't look anything like the sword that hangs there
Mm-hmm.
now. And so, it's probably not the sword that we get to know
Mm-hmm.
in the story. And there is this theory that this sword is actually the sword of Cinder.
Ah.
So the Chandrian who killed his parents.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
Mm. I already meant to ask you about what do you think he gets the sword for?
Hmm.
Um, I you say that it's maybe the sword of Cinder. I think that makes a lot
Hmm.
of sense because it's a dark charcoal color, and Cinder is also about burning, and the wood is also an burnt color.
Hmm.
I.
So here's a
Mhm.
question for you.
Mhm.
Um, so let's assume that Kvothe killed Cinder and
Mhm.
took up his sword. Um, Now, killing a Chandrian and getting his sword, that would be a big trophy.
Mhm.
Um, but let's assume that this is also the sword that killed his parents.
Uh-huh.
So would you actually hang up the sword that
Yeah.
killed your parents?
Yeah, that's awkward. I wouldn't do this, I believe. I mean, it's.
It's pretty strange, right?
Mm, may, I mean, if I wanted to remember about my parents, I would think that I would hang something more candid on the walls. Like I don't,
Yeah.
I believe they don't have pictures, but maybe it could have do something a bit more harmless, maybe a music instrument or something.
Hmm.
So I think it's it's maybe more personal than that. I but the thing that I didn't really understand is he paid Graham to do the sword, right? So that means
Hmm.
it's could it be the sword from Cinder, or do you think it's some kind of replicate?
But Graham, he did not do the sword. He did this like this wood where he hangs up the sword, right?
Ah, okay,
So
okay.
so
Hmm.
Graham is, I don't think, some kind of woodworker. He's not a
Hmm.
smith.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
So yeah, he just did the board where he hangs up and where it's written folly. So there's this black board now hanging in the inn, where it's folly written, and on that board, Kvothe hangs up the sword. And I think it's mentioned that, and that's one hint, maybe if it is the sword that killed his parents or not. That actually he didn't keep it himself, but Bast hid it in his room under his bed. So he gave it to Bast to put it somewhere where it's obviously hidden, and yeah, so maybe Kvothe didn't want to have it with him all the time or in his room, so gave it to Bast. So yeah, maybe it's one hint that it's actually the sword that killed his parents.
Yeah, I can see that.
And also, there are some passages where I think for Bast it is really awkward that it feels like Bast feels uncomfortable with Kvothe wanting to hang up the sword. There are
Yeah,
some
he even says
passages.
horrified.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it really might be Cinder's sword, and maybe we will put a little bit on our watch list how the sword looked like. We have here that it's dull gray-white, but an appearance of a new sword. It's not notched or rusted, no scratches. It seems old. It has a dark handle, an unfamiliar shape, slender and graceful. So yeah, maybe we'll pick up and compare it to the sword that later we see at Cinder, and also the sword that Kvothe gets from the Edam.
Yeah, that's something I meant to ask you anyway. So Bast's expression was horrified when it's about to find a place for the sword, and I meant to ask you if you think that it's. My first read was he's horrified because it's so fancy and he doesn't want to have the sword on this place and it just looks ugly. And I picture Bast a bit dramatic all the time. But also I meant to ask of if you believe that is also something that's horrified for a good reason. Maybe the sword had some kind of, I don't know, malefic aura or something that could harm Bast in some way. I don't know.
Well, Bast obviously fears metal, or iron to be exact, and maybe the sword is also made out of iron. And yeah, a piece of iron hung up on the wall, that's something that bothers Bast. But yeah, it seems like there's more to it. One thing about its name, Folly. It's just something that I have in my mind right now, and I will have to mention now, but probably will have to come to it back later. Folly. I think that some of the last words that Ben says to Kvothe, so Ben is his first teacher, he tells him, "Be aware of folly," and it might be just it probably is just some maybe a little hint from Rothfuss, so it's probably not that Ben has some foresight or some prophetic abilities, but yeah, there's definitely a little connection, I think. What do you think?
It makes even more sense, but because I believe that Ben left the troop and very there's not a lot of time between the moment where he left the troop and Cinder killing the whole troop. So
Yes.
that would make sense. And if he knew that Cinder was coming, then he would get up and leave before it's time. So on this point of view, I will think that it's some kind of foresight that he had. But I
Okay.
don't see any reason in the first place why he should know something about it. Do you think he knows something about it, like rationally?
I don't think that he knows he knows what is going to happen, or that the
Mm-hmm.
sort of center is maybe called folly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
I think it's just some little play from Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah. Could be.
Okay. What else do we have in this chapter?
Mm. If you want, we can go to the moment where all the people come from the troop,
Hmm.
and
Tell us about it.
there's the first part where they start to sing songs.
Hmm.
Maybe we can talk about it because on I think the role of music in the society is interesting. And for
Hmm.
example, when you were a kid, most likely you learned your first important things through a song, like learning to count, learning the alphabet.
Hmm.
You learn that with a
Yeah.
song. And in the didactics, most of the time, music plays a big role.
Hmm.
And I think it's interesting because in this world, the song seems to be also very insightful. There's a lot of time you learn about things that you should do and shouldn't do. For example,
Hmm.
I think in the next chapter, there will be a point where they tell how to take care of demons on a song. Like they say to bury
Hmm.
them and so and stuff like this. And I was very interested in the way they use music, just as in our society, in this society, to use it as a way to transfer the right information to the next generation.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Songs are not only in this book, but um, probably in our world as well. Yeah, a good way to get some information across, or to keep information alive.
Hmm.
And yeah, there is this. I think it's so strange that these children's songs we hear are about the Chandrians.
Hmm.
So there's this one song, when the hearth fire turns to blue,
Hmm.
what to do, run outside, run and hide. When his eyes are black as crow, where to go, near and far, here they are.
Hmm.
And yeah, so there is some truth to it. We know that one sign of the Chandrian is blue fire,
Hmm.
and also these black eyes is
Hmm.
a sign of one other Chandrian. So yeah, obviously this stuff that these children sing has truth to them.
Hmm. Also, one thing that we could maybe um, think about in the next time is I think Patrick Rothfuss is known to be very careful about how he writes and the style. And for example,
Mm.
I'm pretty sure the song have very precise usage of syllables. I don't know how to say it. Um,
Syllables. Hmm.
Syllables, and maybe we can look for when we find similar kind of syllables. For example, here there's when the hearse turns to blue, 7, what to do when outside, when hide, so 766. And the next one is also 766. And
Oh.
maybe that's something that we can watch out for because I think it would be interesting to see which one are similar, which one are not.
Mm. That's a really good catch there. That yeah, that apparently Patrick really, yeah, he put some effort in even this little children's songs that he created.
Hmm.
And also in this last, I think it's the last one, the last verse, or I don't know,
Hmm.
um, on the children's song. It's called "What's the Plan? What's the Plan?"
Hmm.
Uh, Chandrian, Chandrian. So yeah, we have some answers here about the science of the Chandrians, but yeah,
Hmm.
we still don't know what their goal is. So also the children's songs
Hmm.
do not seem to know.
Hmm. And there's also one thing that I like to notice at some point. At
Hmm.
some point, it's written that Kvothe is laughing at the jokes, shaking hands, smiling, and
Hmm.
he whisked coins off the bar as if he truly needed the money. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the first hints about how wealthy is Kvothe at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also very interesting to think about it now because being wealthy or not is a big part of Kvothe's stories.
Definitely.
And being wealthy is also not the most time he spends his life, from what we know. And
Definitely not.
there's the first hint that he is really wealthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be also interesting to think about why should he be so wealthy right now? If it
Yeah,
has
it's
to do with the
interesting how
king
he got
killing,
there.
for example.
Again?
Maybe it has something to do with the king killing. That's
Yeah.
the book's about.
Yes. Might be just that he killed a king, stole some money, and run away, bought a tavern, and yeah, now lives, unfortunately, not a happy life.
Hmm. But I mean,
Um,
there's a lot of reason that could make him rich. Like he knows a lot of different skills, and we can have. I
yes.
think you can have a lot of theories why he became so rich.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is that we actually get to see that Code sings as well. He sings Tinker Tenor.
Hmm.
And I was actually very surprised because I thought that maybe I know that I had always this theory in my head that Quoth might not be able to sing anymore, or that somehow
Mm-hmm.
prevented to sing. But no, actually, apparently he can sing. He can
Hmm.
make music, and he sings Tinker Tenor, known as the oldest song in this world.
Hmm.
And he sings more verses than anyone had heard before.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting because you mentioned the theory that the name of the music was in the chest that's under its bed.
Hmm. That or
Hmm.
maybe Quoth name, and yeah,
Hmm.
just some. I hadn't
Hmm.
thought this theory through that much, but yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
something
but
along those lines.
it seems something more like something that's due to the moment and the current vibe and maybe not like
Hmm.
a general thing.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think there's some line, might be in the previous chapter, that he hummed, but
Hmm.
he would not have done it if he realized that he did it. So
Oh
it
yeah.
was
Hmm.
just some unconscious thing that subconscious thing that he did. And so we know he apparently can make music, but he normally does not want to do it, or maybe it's too painful, or there's some memory. But this evening, we have in this chapter apparently made him forgot about it, and yeah, he sang Tinker Tenor and got recognized actually.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole point of the rest of the chapter.
Mhm.
Oh, besides Caleb coming up again.
So
Hmm.
yeah, there is this man who said he recognizes the singing,
Hmm.
and that he saw him at Imre,
Hmm.
and he saw him there killing a man by the
Hmm.
fountain, and he said the cobblestones are all shattered, and no one can mend them. And this fountain is, I think it's right outside of the Aeolian, so this
Hmm.
prestige um, bar or
Hmm.
house
Theater.
yeah, exactly
Mm.
where he got his silver pipes.
Hmm.
And yeah, apparently there he killed someone.
Hmm.
Do you
Is
have any theory or thoughts about who that could be?
mm, there's nothing we know for sure, right? I don't remember of anything.
I don't think so. We know
Hmm.
that I think it's also the place where he called the name of the wind the first time and
Oh.
um, flung Ambrose in the air.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that's far from killing him.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. There's the possibility that they confused it and they thought that they killed him.
Hmm.
They
But I
also
think that's if he was there at the place, um, then that's not a story that got miswritten by telling it too many times. That he saw it, he was there, and
oh,
I think
but he said I saw the place in Emery where you killed him by the fountain. I don't think he saw the killing. He saw only the cobblestone that are
ah
shattered.
yeah, that's true. He says that he heard him sing once,
Mm-hmm.
and then he saw that place. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's
that there are
true.
two separate facts in this case.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it might be that it's just the incident where he called the name of the wind to attack Ambrose.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. But there did the fountain didn't break there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There could be
So
more to it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, also this place, it's not like this um the right place for the big showdown. So it's I can't imagine that he killed a king there or that he killed a Chandrian there because this place seems a little bit too nice, if you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's something like a happy place, and I cannot imagine it being this big showdown place, um,
Mm-hmm.
where he faces the big evil. Um, so yeah, but it might be fitting that it's a place where he first attacked Ambrose with the name of the wind, and maybe he actually killed Ambrose there as well.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Hopefully
We can't
we'll
know for
figure it
sure, I
out,
believe.
or maybe we'll find it out.
Mm-hmm. And then Kvothe is trying to fake an injury to escape the
Hmm.
situation.
Yeah, because he recognized him and yeah, wanted to flee really, really quick.
Mm-hmm. And it asks best to poison him. Not to poison him to
But
death,
put him
but
to sleep.
even to put him to sleep.
Yeah. Okay,
Also,
and
the next
mhm,
point that I would like to talk about you is about the listen three times and I hear you three times. I
mhm.
don't know if you know where it is, but it's
I
just
have it. Yeah.
just after. And the first thing I thought about when I read it, it's the silence of three part and the listening three times and hearing the three times.
Oh, that's a good connection.
Do you think that's the place it comes from, or do you think there's any context to it? Because it's not something you say in the everyday life, right?
I don't. I never heard it in English before,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's some. It might be some saying in this world, but I think it's also the only time we hear
Mm-hmm.
it as far or heard it as far. And I thought it might be some Fey world saying, "Listen three times, I hear it three times." But I like the connection of the three silences.
Mm-hmm. Are you ready to go to the Caleb part, or is there anything
What
else
part?
before the Caleb part where he visits Caleb to get the gloves?
Um, I have two things.
Mm-hmm.
Just very little things.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have on our watch list this citrus smell. We
Uh-huh.
know that, there it says that the tinker that who travels there
Mm-hmm.
has some limes from Tinue. Um,
Uh-huh.
I really don't think that there is a connection, but I just want to mention it. Um, I don't know. Tinue might be
Mm-hmm.
a hint where maybe that's the place where he gets his chest or where
Mm-hmm.
something gets locked there.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing is um, that he.
On the map there is the free city of Tinue, and it's north from Vintes.
Okay, that's good to know. we'll keep that definitely in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And one other little thing that when Kvothe gets ready to bed, his scars are described,
Mm-hmm.
and it's said that they were all smooth and silver except one.
Uh-huh.
And I think we only know from about these smooth and silver ones where
Mm-hmm.
he got whipped or some fights maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but there might be or there seems to be one scar that is not smooth and silver, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that we know about that that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is silver something that we say about scars?
I think like if you have this, the scar is usually a little bit more lighter than your
Mm-hmm.
usual skin tan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in the later chapters, it's also said that his scars are silver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought
But,
about
hmm?
this cinder, and cinder has something to do with fire, right? And I just thought about the fact that any fire, any scars that's in contact with fire is like it's good for this cicatrization, right?
Mhm.
So I think you will, if you were fighting with cinder, you would have the good scar that are smooth
Mhm.
and silver. So maybe it's not from cinder.
Yeah, I think it's a good theory that this one scar might be from Sinter, and maybe there's some magic or something that, or maybe it's a sword that um, makes it not heal like the other cuts that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I think I'm ready to go to the second part of this chapter.
Mm-hmm. The Owisan boy stopped by, wanted to know if we needed any mutton. And
Hmm.
then he goes to Caleb, the smith walker,
Hmm.
and ask about the mutton too, and then ask about the gloves.
Exactly. So yeah, I think in the next chapters we will talk about what he needs this
Mm-hmm.
apron and gloves really for.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I highlighted that he talks about a man who took the king's coin,
Mm-hmm.
and it said he's off fighting the rebels in Menat. No,
Mm-hmm.
so and code corrects in that it's not Menat but Mineras.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where this is, but apparently there are some rebels,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it might be some result of killing a king. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. But yeah, just a little thing that I wanted to point out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, other than that, I think I do not have any notes
Mm-hmm.
left for this chapter. Do you have anything else?
Me neither. Found it pretty straightforward.
Mhm. Okay, then let's head to chapter 4, right?
Yep. All right. We are going into chapter 4. Do you mind doing a little summary of the chapter?
Yeah, real quick. In this chapter, the chronicler finds Kvothe by accident in some kind of ruined house by the woods,
Mm-hmm.
and they both got attacked by Sgrail, and chronicler fell unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So um, the first thing that I noticed is when chronicler sees Kvothe
Mm-hmm.
in the firelight, it is described that his hair was impossibly red. His eyes are shocking, vibrant green.
Uh-huh.
And this is very different from when we get described in the prologue, the the eyes of Kvothe, where it's
Mm-hmm.
more dull and less
Mm-hmm.
colorful.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, here it's shocking, vibrant green.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really, really fitting because what Kvothe is planning to do right now,
Mm-hmm.
it is a really heroic act. Like
Mm-hmm.
fighting off this Grail, and it seems like something that only Kvothe can do, and not Code, the barkeeper.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I found really, really interesting.
Yeah, and also it's from the perspective of the chronicler, and it's
Mm-hmm.
maybe not only context but also perspective. Maybe chronicler sees him in a different way that's described in the first place.
Oh, that's really, really interesting. Yeah, might be that Code himself, and it's more from his perspective that he sees himself less than others do.
hmm One thing that I highlighted, but I don't think it's very interesting, um, when Kvothe describes the squirrels, it says demons in the shape of big black spiders.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for me, spiders are black. And I think it's odd that he decided big black spiders because that will be the first color I would be thinking of. This is not something that I would highlight. It's like just like as you said, a big gray elephant. That would be the first thing
Mm-hmm.
that I was thinking about anyway. I think it's odd that is telling about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just some exaggeration or I don't know.
hmm
Um, but yeah, you're right. That's not necessarily something that you would point out.
hmm
What I think is interesting there as well is that Chronicler relaxed when he talked about demons, because he's sure and says there's no such thing as demons.
hmm
So we asked the question if there are demons in this world or not
hmm
last time,
hmm
and Chronicler seems to think that there are not.
Yeah, he knows.
Mhm. But Quoth says to that, I respect that, and for the most part, you're right.
hmm
So yeah, I think might be true that there really are no demons.
Oh, not too far off from it.
Yeah.
Mm. One thing that I highlighted is he handed Chronicler a heavy piece of firewood. He wants to make the Chroniclers ready to fight. How do you
Mhm.
how do you imagine a heavy piece of firewood to fight? Do you think it's already burning? Do you think it's hot? Like how do you picture this for yourself?
um, I picture it like about 50 to 60 centimeter long piece
Mm-hmm.
of wood, and um, like some glowing red at the end of it. I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
burning.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that the Skrael fear wood and iron,
Mm-hmm.
so might be a good enough weapon.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there anything with fire too?
Yeah, fire and iron. I think those are the two
Mm-hmm.
things that
Mm-hmm.
um, Kvothe says that can hurt the Skrael.
Yep. Okay.
Um, okay.
And also about the fighting, they say
Mhm.
if one of them gets on you, just fall down, try to land on it, crush it with your body. I don't know how often you had the occasion to land on someone, but but for the size that I have, the size of a pig, I think they said at some
Mhm.
point, I wouldn't expect to crush it with my body.
I don't think so too. I think Nelly, the horse, last time
Mm-hmm.
fell on it,
Mm-hmm.
and even there, I think the spider or the Skrael survived
Mm-hmm.
that. So yeah, I don't know if that would work or not.
Yeah, that's maybe not the best. The maybe is not the best teacher also. And if you get hold of one, throw it into the fire. That also seems very. That's like it's a big stretch. Like if you could do it, it's you're already knowing what you do, I believe.
Yeah, but I think that Quoth knows that he can do really, really little, and
hmm
probably won't be a help. But
hmm
if anything, maybe throw it in the fire.
hmm
Another thing is that I found interesting that he probably, the pot that he is cooking, it's really likely no food because it seems to be smelling really disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably he cooked like a piece of the scrael
Mm.
that Carter
Mm-hmm.
Carter brought a scrael, and
Mm-hmm.
Kvothe probably kept some piece, and I think he's cooking that, and maybe will log the other scrael
Oh.
to them. I think
Mm.
that's the strategy here.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I mean, if you want to have some animals go at your place, then you wouldn't burn the animal itself. Yeah, you would most likely burn the prey, maybe because they will be more attracted because of the prey scent. So,
Probably, I'm not too sure if they can distinguish this,
mhm,
but intuitively, I would think you're right. Yes.
so maybe he burned some human because they like to kill human, and they
Oh,
smell
that
the
would
what
be nasty.
the human food.
Maybe. I don't think so. I think he
Yeah,
because Bast was shocked that he kept a piece
yeah, that makes more
of the
sense.
scroll. Um, yeah. Other than that, I think there's one little thing that I wanted to talk is that Quoth said you'd be surprised at the sorts of things hidden away in children's songs.
Hmm.
So here we have this confirmation that the children's songs that we
Hmm.
heard before really do have some truth to them.
Hmm. Next highlight that I had is whole little description of the fight itself there was. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting because it's a big part of the of course identity is the ability to fight, and uh, I found it interesting to see that there was no description of this of his skills and
Mm-hmm.
on this occasion.
I think in this chapter it made sense because it's from the perspective of the chronicler, and
Hmm.
so it seems to be senseful that when chronicler fell unconscious, that we don't get to see what happens afterwards.
Hmm.
Um, but I also ask myself if that was on purpose from Rothfuss, because we should not get to see yet how Quoth fights,
Hmm.
and maybe he fights him just by I don't know. How do you think he fought them?
Hmm. Hmm. It's I just assumed that it was like a classical squad kind of thing where we just have a big sword and fight with it, but I have no idea
Mhm.
actually. Is there any description of his equipment?
He has some iron. I
Yep.
don't know what the word is. But some like stab or
Mm-hmm.
something to knock them down. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So maybe this could be it. That he just fights with his stab.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe he knows the name of iron as well, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think so. Might be.
Right.
So maybe he fought them with some magic,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, for all we know, he was not very good at calling names when he wanted to.
Yeah,
Most occasion he just needed to.
exactly. But I'm sure that when the Skrull attacked, then that would be a situation where he needed
That's
to do
right.
it as well.
Mm. Mm. And
Okay. Mhm.
maybe when he's there is like the wall in the second book. There's the wall part where he learns to fight with Tempi and all the Ademre, I think they called,
Mhm.
and I think that's the most of his fight education. And it seems like you don't need a sword to fight with the Ademri. Like it's based around the sword, I believe, but it's also a lot of
Mm.
martial arts in some way. So I could even
Mm-hmm.
imagine that he does it with bare hand. It could be some kind of possibility, but
Yeah, it
we
might
can't
be.
really know.
He also has the gloves, so
Hmm.
would make sense that his hands were
Hmm.
protected there.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
part that I'm thinking about is I might have broken a couple of your ribs. One of them was all over you, and
Mm.
I cannot picture it for now. I think you will hit it, and you will break the ribs through the scales. So maybe you will need something like a mess, like a club or something.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably his. I don't have it in front of me the
Hmm.
word, but yeah, it's some iron club. Yeah,
Hmm.
that he has. Yeah, makes sense. Anything else?
I don't think so. And
Okay.
at the end, they are coming back together to the inn, right?
Yeah, that's I think chapter 5.
Hmm.
Should we go to
Yep.
that one?
Let's go. All right. Chapter
Okay,
5.
chapter 5. Notes. In this chapter, Kvothe returns with the still unconscious chronicler to the Waystone Inn. There, Bast cares for his Reshi by stitching him and singing him to sleep.
Hmm.
I think it's a short chapter as well.
Yep.
Any notes there?
I do. Very at the very beginning, where Bast discovers the two of them coming back, and
Mhm.
and he says, "A note? You sneak out and leave me a note?" He hissed
Mhm.
angrily. "What am I, some dockside war?" And it's funny on its own, but also
Mhm.
it got me thinking about the nature of the relation, right? I think
Mhm.
we had a lot of hints about Bast liking women. We had
Mhm.
also a lot of sources about quote loving women, but we
Mhm.
don't know if there are more to it. And I don't know if you see it the way I do, but the dialogues between quote and Bast are at the very least playful,
Mhm.
and if you're stretching it a bit, they're a bit flirty at some point.
That's interesting. I've never thought about it.
And I asked myself if there was like some kind of romantic dynamic, romantical dynamic between the two of them.
That's really interesting because yeah, you're right. When he left this note, it feels like he broke up with him by
Mhm.
text via WhatsApp or something, and
Mhm.
Bast yeah apparently really does not like it. Um, yeah, I haven't thought about it. I will keep that in mind. I don't I don't think so because as you said, we have many incidents where we see Bast and both Bast and Quoth yeah being with women.
Mhm.
But I found this
Mhm.
theory really interesting. Yeah,
But
I like it.
they could be bisexual or anything else, and
Definitely, yeah.
I don't know if it's something that's in your mind too. But Bast is a fire, right? And
Hmm.
in my imaginary world, a fire is something close to elves. Um,
Hmm.
in my
Yeah,
imagination, and
me too.
anything related to the elves, I don't know. I pictured them bisexual for for some reasons, but I don't know if there is
Yeah,
any reason to it.
I see that as well. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think yeah I can imagine this as well that yeah Bast really might be bisexual. Might be.
Hmm. Okay, but I don't think we have a lot of ends coming this way in the next book.
Probably not.
Mm. But at least they are caring for each other.
Mm. And yeah, as you said, as you said, they are a little bit flirty.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's true that I like this dialogue between both of them in this chapter
Hmm.
because it seems pretty witty. I think
Hmm.
there's this one thing that Kvothe says, "Are you upset by the lie or the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they didn't catch me at it?"
Mm-hmm.
It's just this little playful talk that they have, and I think in this chapter we have some more of it. And I really like this in this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we come to the part where Bast is telling that quote kept a piece of the of the Scarel, and that's
Mm-hmm.
talking about your theory on on the last chapter about the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we get to know that there was 5 squirrels there.
And that seems to be a lot for Bas, so
Mm-hmm.
he does not really know how Quoth did fight them.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that I noted is you said you should be dead twice. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because we talked about listen 3 times and hear 3 times, and that is you should be dead twice. I think it's funny that
Mm-hmm.
it's a recurring theme between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this might also be a saying
Mm-hmm.
in the Fey world, or maybe it's just what he says that he should be
Mm-hmm.
dead twice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these numbers seem to be a little bit in the language of Bast.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
it's also into the complicity they have because whenever you are in relationship, you start to have a language between the two of you, like with your own expression and words,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's some part of it with the
Mm-hmm.
twice and thrice 3 times.
That's yeah. We mentioned it now, and I wanted to talk about it with you as well. Um, so what could be the relation between Bast and Quoth? Because
Mm-hmm.
Bast really cares for Quoth. He
Mm-hmm.
wants him back. He wants the Quoth he knows from the stories back. He orchestrated all the things that happened. He
Mm-hmm.
got the rumors out so that Chronicler came back.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the soldiers there to fight Quoth, and
Mm-hmm.
Bas really cares about him.
Yeah.
And yeah, why do you think it is? Is it a
Mm-hmm.
romantic relationship? I know there's also the theory that Bast might be the son of Quoth.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Mm. My first my first intuition about this is that Bast had an agenda of its own, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he means it too well all the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I don't trust Bast, but it's I'm not sure he's doing it genuinely, and I believe he
Mm-hmm.
has some kind of goals, but there's nothing that I could think about what is its goal, but I'm not sure he wants the best for Quoth.
I agree with you that I would definitely not trust Bast. He does some horrendous things. He
Hmm.
kills later the soldiers that
Hmm.
come into the that he got to the tavern, and he's definitely some brutal guy as well.
Hmm.
But I actually do really believe that the thing that he wants most is for Quoth to be back, to be
Hmm.
this old man he knows from the legends,
Hmm.
because there's so much that he does for it. And he also threatens the chronicler later in the later chapters, and
Hmm.
says that he will kill him if he does not do everything he can to bring him back. So yeah, I actually do think that he definitely wants Quoth back.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, I mentioned this theory that Bast might be the son of Quoth. Um, Also, it's mentioned that Bast is about 150 years old or something, so he's definitely a lot older.
Hmm.
But we do know that in the Fey world,
Hmm.
time is different,
Works the same.
and we know that Kvothe spent a lot of time with Felurian and slept with her multiple times. So Bast might be, a son of Felurian and Kvothe. Kvothe left the Feywild. Bast got born, lived there 150 years, and got to the human world, found his father, and I don't know. So maybe Rashi is a word for father.
So you think that will be a theory that is also the son of Felurian?
So yeah, I think if Bast is the son of Kvothe, then he is also the son of Felurian. Yeah.
Okay. Also from this relation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But we don't think from the description we got, he does not seem anything like Kvothe. I think he has black hair and also some other facial expressions. But I think it's an interesting theory, and it would explain why Bast cares so much for Kvothe.
I am so looking forward to discuss with you all the Felurian part in the second book. I think we'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah. That will definitely be some spicy talk there.
All right.
Yeah, I have one last thing about this chapter. And that's that Kvothe in his notes said that he will die or probably will be dead. And what do you think about it? That first, do you think that Kvothe actually thought he would die? Or that he wanted to leave the Waystone in as well and maybe pretend that he died? Or and if you think that he actually thought that he would die by this grail, what do you think about it? Do you think this would be the death that Kvothe imagined for him, or that he would be satisfied with dying by this grail?
What's the note again exactly? How is it formulated?
If you are reading this, I am probably dead.
Okay.
So that this is the start of the note.
It makes some kind of sense that if he doesn't come back, he's probably dead. And if he expects to come back before Bast is waking up, then most likely he can take out the note. So he could even think that it's not probable that he's dying, but he still think that the note is worth writing for the real chance that he dies. So maybe he was very confident in his ability to survive, but the note makes sense anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if he actually thought that he would die, do you think that he would be satisfied with this death of his?
Tough to say. I don't know if anyone is really satisfied with their death.
That's true. Well, but it actually, it would be some kind of a heroic death, fighting off the Grail who are attacking this town. But I think in this time or in this part of his life, he accomplished probably so much more that I would be disappointed if I hear the stories about this legendary Kvothe and then he died. By 5 Grails. Yeah.
And he had to lure them, right? So they were not even coming to him. So it's not like it was urgent. He could have avoided them if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So it seems like he was pretty confident too.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for me for this chapter. Do you have anything else?
No, we can go ahead.
Oh. Then chapter 6.
Chapter 6, The Price of Remembering. What's happening in this chapter, Marcy?
In this chapter, the awakened chronicler tells to Kvothe how the people speak of him and his deeds. And this makes Kvothe eager to tell him the truth and the full story of Kvothe. And in the end, Kvothe agrees and insists that he will tell his story in exactly 3 days.
Mm-hmm. There's the first thing that I highlighted in this chapter is
Mm-hmm.
the when they are talking about where they are in nowhere. I don't know exactly how to tell it. And Quote say to it, "You are in fact in the middle of nowhere." And
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's on purpose because nowhere sounds a bit like nowhere,
Oh, that's true.
and it's the middle of nowhere. I believe that's maybe the one of the reason why the name's that way,
That's a good spot there. So yeah,
because
for the
it also
listeners,
seems
this
pretty isolated, right?
it seems like this. Yeah. So
Mhm,
the town that we are in, the Waystone Inn,
mhm,
the town is called, as you said, New Ware.
mhm,
And now that you said it out loud, and I do not read it, it really does sound like nowhere. And yeah, this way the Waystone Inn seems to be
mhm,
in the middle of nowhere. That's
mhm,
really
mhm.
really good found there.
And then with a sarcastic tone afterwards, thriving metropolis, home to dozens. So confirming what we're
Yeah, so
thinking, I think.
not home 2000, not home to
Hmm.
millions, and
Hmm.
home 2000s.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, and then the chronicler is introducing himself,
Mhm.
and I'm
His
sure.
name is Devon Lotchis.
Hmm.
Very, yeah, I don't know if it's a familiar name or um, if it's an uncommon name or not.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, he seems to be not a chronicler, but the chronicler.
Hmm. And one thing I'm sure you are burning to talk about is that Scarpy is getting talked about. There's the mention of Scarpy as
Hmm.
an acquaintance of the chronicler.
Do you want to tell the listeners who Scarpy is?
I wish you could do it.
So Scarpy is the storyteller that we get to know in Tarabin, this really big city, and he tells quote the story about Landre and how Landre became Haliax, one of the
Hmm.
Chandrian. I don't think that in that story he is called a Chandrian, but
Hmm.
of course, quote makes the connection that Haliax is
Hmm.
hears this name and he heard it before.
And it seems like the
And
main Chandrian also, right? Like the maybe like
exactly,
the chef of the boss of
yes,
the Chandrian, right? Mm.
yes, he seems to be ahead of them all and
Hmm.
also have some control
Hmm.
above them. I think
Hmm.
so. Yeah, I think he is a really good namer and he knows also the name of the persons maybe and yeah, so he can have some control of the other champion, I think.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's Scarpy, and he seems to be working with the Chronicler.
Hmm.
That's
And
yeah, that's a
if I
nice fact.
if I remember well, we also got a comment about uh, the about Scarpy.
Hmm.
That someone were telling us to be careful about about what we mention of Scarpy because it doesn't seem like a very reliable narrator.
Yeah, so we only hear. I don't know if we hear more stories or not from
Hmm.
Scarpy.
Hmm.
But as you said, in one YouTube comment, someone mentions that Kvothe here um, describes him as some rumor monger.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's some interesting thing that apparently there are some lies or some not too honest things about how he tells the story. At least from what Quoth seems to know.
Hmm.
One other thing that I found really interesting is, and which I totally forgot,
Hmm.
is that the chronicler seems to be the author of The Mating Habits of the Common Druggers.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember this book?
Is it the one that leads him to kill this weird beast where he thought that there was the Chandrian coming to the wedding, or do I confuse it?
Yeah, that book there is mentioned then again,
Mm-hmm.
because he kind of uses some knowledge there to tell Dana about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it's one of the first books he reads in I don't know where, but it's definitely a book that comes around multiple times. I think also that Devi has this book, or maybe he lends it to Devi. I'm not too sure right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think when you first read this, when you read this book for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you forget the title of this book, and then later
Mm-hmm.
you forgot that the chronicler is actually the author of this book. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you reread it, then that's I think a really really nice fact that we get to see here.
Mm-hmm. Um, and next point that I wanted to highlight is the best lies about me are the ones I told. Is
Mm-hmm.
something Kvothe is telling, and it put a lot of doubt inside of me because we are also hearing because from the point of view of course most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes all the narration coming from course a bit doubtful at some point.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we hear throughout his story that he made up some stories about himself as well. That, for example, that he does not sleep at night, or that he has some demon blood in him, or something like this. So
Mm-hmm.
he actively made up some stories about himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um.
And then the chronicler is trying to start to convince Quote to tell its story,
Mhm.
and it's gaining pretty easy for him, right? And at the end of the discussion, Quote is sold on it, and I think it's something I wanted to talk about with you is how easy was it to convince Quote, and how how deeply he wanted it. Do you think?
Yeah. So as mentioned before, Kvothe does care about his reputation, and
Mm-hmm.
he kind of likes being in the spotlight and
Mm-hmm.
being this little legend and has a reputation of
Mm-hmm.
himself. So when Chronicler tells him how his reputation actually is, or maybe the Chronicler lies as well a little bit here,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, tells him that things do not seem to be as good as Kvothe actually was, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
want to be. Um, yeah, I think Chronicler really had an easy game here. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Mm, yeah. There's also a mention at some point that Quote already tried to write its story, but didn't manage to do it or gave up. So
Hmm.
I think it was already sold on the idea. He just played
Yeah,
along to get his way and to get his conditions. But I think it was maybe he was happy to know that there's a chronicler there
yeah,
from the beginning.
definitely.
Mm.
Okay, and um, other than that, I think we get some hints about what Quoth actually already did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are really, really big hints here, and we do not unfortunately know what they are leading to, but I'm sure they are leading to something here.
Mm-hmm.
One thing is, I quote, Chronica took an eager step forward, sensing victory. Some
Mm-hmm.
people say there was a woman. So this seems to be a little sensitive topic for Quoth.
Yeah.
And so it seems to be an important part of this story as well.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
it might have a
do you
big.
have any guess what woman this is?
Well, I will believe it's about Dana, right? And
I think so too. Yeah.
the main theory would be that something there didn't go quite right. Maybe Dina died in some way, or maybe he got rejected in some way, and is quite a bit. It seems like he didn't fully accept it for now.
Hmm. Let me give you another quote, and maybe you will have some more thoughts. So this is something that Kvothe says as well. I trooped, traveled, laughed, lost, trusted, and was betrayed.
Yeah.
So we have here 6 things that he did, or which he did. The first thing is he trooped, which probably is just the time he spent as an Idimaru with his parents. Then he traveled. We also know that he traveled to a lot of places. And then it says he laughed. Probably Dana, but might be some friends as well. But it's probably Dana. And then are the next 3 things I don't think we know yet. Lost, trusted, and was betrayed.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
For me, the most probable one is there was betrayed is directly in relation with the loved one. So I will assume
he was a trusted one as well.
And it could end about in end of relationship that well, one of the partner, likely Dena, went for someone else. But maybe it also could be lost in the sense of losing someone, and maybe it could also be that he lost Dena because she died or something like this.
I think that, as you said, I think that the was betrayed is connected to the one he loved as well. So I think that loved, trusted, and was betrayed is all by Dana. And I don't know. You said that maybe she chose a different man, and this might be it. But I think that Kvothe, I think it would hurt him for him, but I think he wouldn't put it as that he was betrayed. So I believe that Dana will be in some part really betraying Kvothe big time. So maybe to the Chandrian or to I don't know, to Devi, to someone, I don't know. But I think that that's something that really, really hurts Kvothe also now, and is maybe one reason why he is now like kind of depressed.
And he doesn't seem to process it in any way, and his reaction seems like he isn't also doing any progress in it because he refuses to talk about it for now.
Okay, so that's for me that's definitely one thing I really look forward to, how he was betrayed. We know that Dana has some connections to. She has this master or patron who is really very in secret, and she also is trying to find some information about the Chandrian. Really looking forward to get to know how or if she betrayed him.
And also the man you're talking about seems pretty powerful, and maybe it could be also a relationship with the politics in this world, and maybe leading it some way to the king killing. That's topic of this trilogy.
There's also some little thing, because you said that he killed the king. One thing Kvothe said, "I've killed men and things that were more than men." every one of them deserved it. So that's one interesting thing, that he seems to have killed men. We know about that, and things that were more than men. So this might be a little hint that he actually got to kill one Chandrian.
Yeah, that was also my first thought. But it could also be
And
some kind of fire or something like this.
again,
It could be also some kind of fire or something
yeah,
similar.
yeah, definitely. And then the next thing that Chronicler said is the stories are saying assassin, not hero.
Mm.
And that's also one thing that I found really interesting, because for me, an assassin is, for me, the difference between an assassin and a murderer is that an assassin gets paid by someone else most of the
Yeah.
time. I think that's in my head.
Mm.
So what do you think about it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe that's something you could know from knowing English very well. But um, I agree that I also have the image of an assassin getting paid for it. But I
Mm-hmm.
could also think of someone being specialized in it, but not necessarily getting paid for it.
That's true.
Assassin will be for me someone that's doing like professionally in some way, but it doesn't mean that they have to be paid from someone else. Maybe they could be living
Yeah,
from their praise, for example, like stealing the
yeah.
things not
I
afterwards.
think you're right that
Mm,
a professional killer is also an assassin. That's true.
mm,
He does not have to be paid. But yeah, maybe
mm,
someone did gave him this mission to kill the king.
mhm, mhm. So it keeps on going, and Quoth gets convinced, and but he make it seems hard so that he gets his way about the negotiation, how it will be told,
Mm-hmm.
and it tells 3 days, no more, no less. And one topic that I think we already talked about privately is how realistically you think that that you need 3 days to tell all the story, because
Mm-hmm.
one book is 1 day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this book is pretty long, and you also told how long it was
In the
um,
audiobook.
in the audiobook. How long was it? Do you remember?
I'm not too sure. I think the first book is about 23 hours long,
Yeah.
and the second one is over 40 hours long.
Mm. So it would mean that that it's either a bit exaggerated, or it's just that Quote is just a good storyteller that he
Or
can
maybe
be
they talk
much
just really,
quicker.
really fast.
Yeah, it could be.
But no,
Mm,
I think
mm,
so too. That it's probably they
mm,
would have needed a little bit more time.
mhm. But I think that's something that we'll see a few times, that is not always very realistic what happens. There's also, I think, in some kind of travel where we think like in a whole semester it travels forth and back, and it does this and that, and sometimes it doesn't seem really realistic from all the time you
Hmm.
have in a day, and it takes like one afternoon to to build something that no man ever made before. And yeah, I think it's something that we have to keep in mind, that time can be a bit flexible in this world, maybe.
Definitely. Yeah, and we don't know how long the days are. Maybe 3 days.
Mm.
Maybe a day has more than 24 hours.
Oh, that could be one of the reasons.
Yeah. Okay, I've some more things.
Hmm.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Mm, I am ready for the next chapter if you are.
Okay, no, I have
Mm.
I think two or three more things.
All right.
Um, Chronicler says some are even saying that there is a new champion, a fresh terror in the night, his hair as red as the blood he spills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is also one maybe a little hint that if there's a new champion, maybe one died. So that might be a hint that Sinter is dead. And what I really, really find interesting here is that, some people think that Kvothe became a champion.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard about this theory, that this might be true, and that Kvothe sign as a champion, because every chain has the sign, the blue flames or the dark eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and that the sign of Kvothe is silence. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think about it?
Mm-hmm. For the first part, I was thinking about if killing a Chandrian is making you a Chandrian by default.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But you will think that when he appears, sound disappears in some way.
It does disappear, but I think it's always there. I think even in the evening that we get described, with all the music happening, I think there's also mentioned that the silence is almost gone. It's not
Mm-hmm.
100% gone. It's somewhere hidden.
Okay, because actually, I just assumed that it was just a provocation from the chronicler just to get him to tell its story. I didn't believe that it was really true.
It might very be likely not true. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's just this theory that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then one other thing I wanted to talk about, and this I also find really, really interesting. I quote, Chronicler found himself thinking of a story he had heard. One of the many. The story told of how Kvothe had gone looking for his heart's desire.
Mm-hmm.
He had to trick a demon to get it. But once it rested in his hand, he was forced to fight an angel to keep it. And then Chronicler says he believes it. This is the face of a man who has killed an angel.
Mm-hmm.
So my three questions there is, what was his heart's desire?
Mm-hmm.
Who was this demon he had to trick to get it? And what angel did he kill?
Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing where I hope that you have a theory.
um, so I'm not really not sure. I think his heart's desire might be Denna again.
Mm-hmm.
He had to trick a demon to get it. This might be the patron of Denna because um, he he beats Denna and treats
Mm-hmm.
her not too well.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some theories of who this might be, and we will get to that to some other point, I think. And tricking him, I think, seems to fit there.
Mm-hmm.
And once it rested in his hand, he was forced to fight an angel to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if a champion might be an angel. Um, yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
is my theory. I think his heart's desire is Dana. The demon he tricked is Dana's patron, and the angel he killed is Sinta. That's
Mm-hmm.
my theory.
One question about it is, but once it's resting in his hand, singular, and if it was about dinner, I would also maybe more likely think that it is in his hands, plural, and because of the hand is singular, I might be
Mm.
more inclined to think that it's about maybe some kind of object that you can hold in one hand.
Okay.
But
Any
it's
thoughts
mm,
what this object might be?
the first thing I thought about was a music instrument.
Oh, mm-hmm.
It seems a bit it seems a bit extreme for a music
A
instrument,
little
but
bit replaceable as well, right?
hmm but I mean, I could expect anything from Qualls. He isn't known for the best decision making.
That's true. But yeah, definitely one passage I found really, really interesting here.
Maybe a book. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, then just two really, really quick things I highlighted here as well. Chronicler said that it was not even 2 years ago that apparently Kvothe disappeared or died. So it's just that we can put it in a frame where we are right now. So about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
all this happened. And the other thing is, yeah, we have one saying that I found funny is how is the road to Tinue? It's just a saying like how are you? And yeah, I found it kind of funny how it's the how are you in this world is how's the road to Tinue?
Oh. Oh, okay.
And last thing is there is this one thing where Kvothe said only priests and fools are fearless, and I've never been on the best of terms with God. And then it says that Chronicler frowned, aware that he was being baited. So yeah, this might be a hint whether or not Chronicler is actually religious or not.
Yeah.
Or he gets baited into being called a fool. I'm not too sure about that one. But yeah, if it's about the religious one, then probably this seems to be a hint that Chronicler is actually religious.
Yeah, that would be coherent with what we were thinking last time about the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, I just have one question. Do you know who Oren Velseter is?
Well, what?
Because who Oren Velseter is? Because Chronicler said that he interviewed him and he's 80 years old and done 200 years worth of living and 500 if you count the lies. And I just was wondering if this name is known. Maybe we will look it up, but yeah, I don't have this word in my mind, this name in my mind.
I never heard it, besides from here. But couldn't say anything about it. Even the name doesn't gives any hint
Okay.
to me.
Okay. Then I think we can head to chapter 7. But
Right.
first, I want to read the last line of chapter 6. Kvothe said, "Yes, I suppose I am." Kvothe said, and his voice had iron in it. This is the first time that not Code said something, but Kvothe
Oh,
said something.
yes, true. Good catch.
Okay, but with that, let's head to chapter 7.
All right. Chapter 7, the last chapter before Quoth starts to tell its story. And the name of the chapter is of beginning and the names of things.
Exactly. In this chapter, Kvothe tests the chronicler of his writing skills. And in addition to that, we get also some more hints of what happened to Kvothe.
Yeah, I had a lot of question about the language that the chronicler is writing, right?
How do
My
you imagine that, or how do you have it in your mind, or what questions do you have?
The way I picture it is actually a bit similar to Chinese in some way, in the way it looks,
Yeah.
with some kind of swings in any direction to signalize different things. And I can imagine that it makes sense with the sounds and how you do it. But my first question was, do you think that there's the possibility to make such an efficient language, and why don't you think we use it?
It's a good question. First, the comparison to Chinese, I think it fits very well my imagination as well. But I think Chinese is just the language that looks most different to what I'm used to.
Yeah, that could be the reason.
Yeah, exactly. This could be just the reason.
Mm.
And I'm not too sure. I think I heard once before that Chinese is a little bit like painting the word that you say, so that the words look like a little bit like what they are describing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this language for the listeners is made up of all the sounds that you can make, or syllables you can make. I don't know. That's the right
Yeah.
word here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's one line for each syllable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this should be in theory possible.
Mm-hmm. Do you
But
think
whether
it
or not it's effective or not, I don't know.
and do you think it will be easy to read as well? I imagine it could be easy to write, but tough to read.
That's a good question. I think if you know every syllable, then you should be, because it's not, in English you have the word read can also be pronounced read. Read
Mm-hmm.
and read is
Mm-hmm.
written the same, and I think that makes it more hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a language that's only made up of the sounds of the syllables, then I think this shouldn't be too hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't know if that's effective if you have like 52 different syllables.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm not sure. Would be interesting.
I think the main problem that I feel is that we have in most Latin language we have 26 different letters,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already pretty tough to differentiate them. They have to get pretty detailed to have enough difference. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have like 50 something different
Mm-hmm.
kind of strokes, then they have to be pretty tough to be able to
Okay,
differentiate
yeah.
them.
Yes, in that sense, you're right. That this would be hard to read because you have to distinguish them. Yeah.
And they have to be quite big or quite detailed, I believe, so that you have enough variety to have a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
characters. I think it's something
Yeah.
that sounds great in the theory, but when you try it concretely, it feels it doesn't live quite up to the reputation.
Yeah, that's probably a reason why there is no language like this. Or maybe there is. I don't know if anyone knows a language like this, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not know of a
Mm.
language like this.
Yeah, and also I was surprised that it uses ink and that it can be so quick with ink. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense that in with the technology level that ink is the main way to write. But I don't know if you had to write with ink at school too, but it was a pain in the ass for me. I also am a
I
lefty, so
never tried.
so it was really, really, really hard, but also it wasn't really quick as well because you always have to wait for it to dry down. I was just surprised.
Did you in school write with ink?
Yeah, I had to up until a
Okay.
certain class.
Yeah, okay. Like, yeah, I know what you mean. I had in my mind, like, but not, you didn't have to write with a feather, right?
Oh no, no, no. I was meaning with like some
Okay.
uh yeah, I don't know the name, but the pen that you can switch the ink.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then one other thing in this chapter, in the very beginning, we get a description of the again, and I just wanted to read that out loud as well.
Mhm.
when the light touched the sword, there were no beginnings to be seen. In fact, the light the sword reflected was dull, burnished, and ages old. So just another little description of the sword that we can keep in mind.
And the next thing about the language, I think I made me fixated a bit about the language.
That's totally fine.
It's the speed at which Kvothe is learning it. I think it's interesting to think about it. For me, it's a big part of the book is figuring out what Kvothe can do well and what he doesn't. And I think learning language fits his capabilities pretty good. Sometimes I wonder if Kvothe is that smart, and sometimes I wonder how much of his intelligence is just pure memorization. But I would believe that in some way it maybe is very good at memorization.
Yeah, he definitely seems to be good at that.
And that would make sense that language for him is a pretty easy part of the challenges ahead.
But also here seems to be some pattern recognition.
Also, yeah.
Which he's really good at as well. Yeah. Do you have anything else about the language or in general about this chapter?
I think that's it, but I'm sure you want to talk about what Kvothe starts to say about its story.
Yeah, I have a few things. Just we get to hear again that Kvothe is from the Idemaru. I think that's the first time we get to hear that. And he says that the Idemaru were telling stories before Kaluptena. I don't know that word, but I found that interesting. There is another interesting name. Kvothe said in the beginning, as far as I know, the world was spun out of the nameless void by Aleph, who gave everything a name. Yeah, I don't think that I heard this name ever again in the series. But yeah, I found this interesting as well. And then one other thing is we get to hear that Kvothe got expelled from the university. I found that very interesting because in the 2 books we got, he is still in the university. So any theory how he got expelled?
That's not something that's hard to picture, right? I mean,
there might be many cases there.
I mean, even on its first day is banned for the archives. I mean, it's very easy to believe, and I could imagine a lot of different reasons for it to happen. But do you have a specific one in mind?
No, I don't know it as well. At the end of the Wiseman's Sphere, Hannah, I think Master Hem, is the new chancellor. So his biggest rival from the Masters is the chancellor. So there are many reasons why he can expel him, I think. But yeah, I think we will get to see. Maybe maybe he actually killed Ambrose and was expelled for that, but probably there would be a bigger consequences than that. Okay, other than that, Kvothe says, I have stolen princesses back from sleeping barrow kings. I burned down the town of Treben. I've spent the night with Felurian and left with both my sanity and my life. So he burned down the town of Treben. I think that's the incident with the Drakus, where the Drakus burns down the city, and he actually rescues the city. And he spent the night with Felurian. We get to know the story as well. And the first one is, I have stolen princesses back from sleeping barrow kings. And there's a theory that Auri is this princess. So Auri, this girl he meets on the roof, that she's actually a princess, because at some point there's this name dropped Princess Ariel, and it kind of seems similar to Auri, and I think this princess is missing or something, and there might be a connection. Maybe the listener here can put in the comments some more evidence for that theory. Then another thing that I found interesting is that the Edam call Kvothe Maedre, and this can mean the flame, the thunder, and the broken tree. And Kvothe himself says that the flame is probably because of his red hair. The thunder comes from his strong baritone, so his voice, his singing voice. And the broken tree, he says that he never thought of it as quite significant, but in retrospect, he thinks it's partially prophetic. So this broken tree, I do not know what it means. Also, there are some theories that we get to know this this magic tree, or this the Kvothe, this evil tree, and maybe he breaks it, but I don't think so. Maybe there will be more hints. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
One thing I thought about is this Maître. Sounds a bit like French for master. We would say maître, and sounds pretty similar. And I mean, it's also something that you could think about as a nickname for him, I think. And I also thought about the tree from the fires, but I am because I read the second book so long ago, I don't remember very well about it for now.
So we will come back to that in the later chapter when we get there. But just a short recap: the Kvothe is this all-knowing tree that in the Fey world, and it seems to want to have the most evil in this world, and Kvothe talks to the Kvothe, and this, I don't know if this might be a connection there, that the broken tree comes around with the Kvothe.
Could be.
Okay, my last highlights for this chapter is that his Kvothe said this, his first mentor called him Elir. This is probably Ben, his first teacher. Then his first real lover called him Duletor. And I do not remember this. I don't know if his first real lover is Felurian. Maybe we'll find this later again, this name. And he has been called Shadikar, Lightfinger, and Sixth String. Also all names that I do not remember to have read anywhere else. And I just that's something that I will keep in mind, and maybe I will find it.
Yeah, and also he said that he has talked to gods. It's also something that.
Oh, you're right. Yes, he said that.
Where it's a very open mystery that we can guess about, but we're not
He has
close to
talked to
knowing.
gods.
And gods
I guess
plural.
we will wait to see. Sure. Yeah, maybe we had this, or I mentioned the angel that he killed might be Chandrian, so maybe here he calls the Chandrian gods. I think we'll see.
And also the religion with Telu doesn't seem like polygamist. No, that's not the what's polytheist religion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like there's multiple gods for the third religion. It seems like some kind of one religion,
Mm-hmm.
one god religion. So
Yeah.
it also denies a bit the his beliefs in Telu at this point, which he already claims very openly.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I have nothing else.
I am ready for our game. Are you too?
Okay. Yeah. Let's finish this episode with some good old Who Said It. Last time you started, should I
hmm
start now?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so the first quote I have is Ah, I had heard that Yilish tribes use the sun to tell time, and as such have no true concept of punctuality. However, as you are not Yilish, I can see no excuse for being late. Can you?
Okay, can you repeat this one, please?
I had heard that Yilish tribes use the sun to tell time, and
hmm
as such have no true concept of punctuality. However, as you are not Yiddish, I can see no excuse for being late. Can you?
Hmm. So it sounds as someone is maybe um, blaming, for example, Kvothe for being late.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was direction university,
Mm-hmm.
and I would think of one of the master.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought about Elodin, but I don't think Elodin would mind so much about being late. I think it's also
I think he is most of the time the one who is being late.
hmm And the one in the archives or Hammett doesn't seem so friendly that they would talk such a long time. Um,
So the one at the archives, that's
mm,
Master Lauren, the
uh-huh,
one that is responsible for the books.
uh-huh. And the one that's his master in the building stuff, is it Bonder?
That's it, Kilvin, I think.
Oh
So
yeah,
in
Kelvin.
the fishery where
hmm
he
hmm
yeah.
I think Kelvin was pretty precise about a lot of things, so maybe I will tip on Kelvin.
Mhm. Okay. It's not Kilvin, it's another master.
Ah,
Um, and it's Master Hammer. So you
okay.
mentioned him.
Mm-hmm,
So it is the one that Kvothe from the very beginning hates and
mm-hmm,
do not got along with. And Kvothe was not the one who was unpunctual, it was another student.
okay.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm,
there Hammer
mm-hmm.
wanted to make some example.
Okay, good one. Should I go on?
Mhm.
He's stronger than he looks. Don't mention it to him. He'll only feel bad.
He's stronger than he looks. Don't mention to him. He'll only feel bad. I think I think this must have been Bast.
Uh-huh.
Does he say it to the chronicler?
Uh-huh. In which context?
He's stronger than he looks. Don't mention it to him. Oh, I
I can
don't know
I can
in what
already tell you
context.
that you're right. Now you can guess about the context.
I don't know what he should not mention. Um,
No, don't mention it to him. The fact that he's stronger than he looks.
okay, but still, I do not know.
That's the one time where Bast and and the chronicler they're in some kind of break, and Quotes for some reason grabs Bast at some point, and Bast shows that he has like big marks of the one time where he just grabbed Bast.
Okay, yeah, good one.
Mm. Yeah, and good guess.
Okay, last one for you. Since this is your first time in the archives proper, you have to pay the stag fee.
Again?
Since this is your first time in the archives proper, you will have to pay the stag fee.
Um, the first person I talked about was Ambrose, because Ambrose is giving the candle to
Mhm.
um Kvothe to make it explode. But I would believe that it's before it, and maybe that's one of its rain that, because at some point they are talking about how they are surprised that Quotes didn't had to pay anything, and I think
Mhm.
this time it even says this time you will have to pay it, or
Mhm.
something. Um, Maybe it could be Simon.
Is that your final guess?
Yeah, let's try it.
It is actually Ambrose. You had it right the
Ah,
first time.
okay.
So,
I'm second guessing myself too much.
yeah, it's because the funny thing is that there is actually no stag fee.
Ah,
Ambrose
yeah.
tricked
Okay,
him
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to pay, I think, one talent,
Mm-hmm.
and which is nearly all the money that Kvothe has left.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Good one. Okay, and our last one. Hold on, said. Was this a dark-haired fellow, well-dressed, severe eyebrows? He made an exaggerated scowl.
Can you read
That's
it again?
hold on, said. Was this a dark-haired fellow, well-dressed, severe eyebrows? End of the quote. He made an exaggerated scowl.
Hmm. This dark-haired. Hmm.
You can maybe guess who is it about too.
That's a good question. Dark haired, I'm not too, I know Bast has dark hair, and I don't know who else they would talk about, but I think they talk about, I don't imagine Ambrose having black hair or dark hair, but from the sound of it, it's would be fitting that they talk about Ambrose. And I don't know if Quoth. No, I think it would be one of his friends. So I go this time with Simon.
Uh-huh. That's a good guess, but it's not Simon. It's Manette.
Okay. Minute.
But you
So tell
had
me about this scene.
you had the right guess. It was talking about Ambrose, and it was talking
Mhm.
about when when Quoth is telling about his banishment of the archives, and it just says
Okay.
that the guy which guy is has given me a candle.
So funny that we are in a quite similar area.
hmm
Oh, cool.
hmm I think Ambrose is getting a lot of the attention in this book.
Yeah, definitely.
hmm
And maybe Ambrose will be the future king that Kvothe gets to kill. Ambrose is
Oh.
like, I don't know,
hmm
16th in line, I think.
hmm
So if enough people die, Ambrose will be king, and maybe Kvothe
That's
kills the king then.
that's some interesting theory. That would be a very good reason to kill to kill a king for him.
For him, yeah. Not sure if it's a good reason to. Well, Ambrose tried to kill him as well, so
hmm
maybe it's fair. Okay, I think that's it, right?
I think so too. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for me too. I really enjoyed this episode, even though it was, I think, a little bit longer than expected. But
hmm
yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
hmm Yeah, and I hope the people hearing had a good time, and I wish all the best.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
See you.